That's the beautiful thing with Challenge Everything, is anything can happen.
One of my rods has absolutely gone into meltdown again. Biggest fish so far of the match, 27 pounds. I was starting to get a bit worried because, as you've seen, John's just had two 20-pounders in a row, which put him in the lead.
That's 3 takes now on that longer rod, all on the same depth, but just a little bit further out. All of a sudden, it gets very, very interesting. I am still fighting for it. It's been a mega, mega trip.
So, you've seen carp fishing challenges and versus matches before.
But this one is different.
We have set out to challenge everything we think we know about carp fishing. We're going to put tactics against each other to see which one will win on any given venue.
The format is simple. We fish open access waters that anyone can go to.
We do 48 hours.
We each have an opposing tactic that we have to stick to until that final whistle blows.
The winner will be the person with the most points at the end of the session. 1 fish equals 3 points, but to keep it interesting, the largest fish will be awarded 10 points.
Remember, this isn't a test to see who is the best angler.
This isn't a challenge that has to be completed.
Oh no, this is a test to see which tactic will win.
This is Challenge Everything. Throughout the course of this series, we're going to be giving you the chance to win some Trakker goodies. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and keep watching the rest of the video to find out what you can win and what you've got to do to win it. Right, you've joined us at Linear Fisheries Tar Farm for another episode of Challenge Everything. And this time, it's an exciting one, a little bit interesting. We're going to be testing short rigs versus long rigs. What are your initial thoughts, John?
To be honest, I've never been to Tar Farm. All the years I spent on main linear, and obviously this has been open for a couple of years, I've never actually been here. So first impression of the whole complex, mate, is it's absolutely stunning.
Beautiful, yeah. We're quite pleasantly surprised when we rocked up here. Not very busy. We've been allocated a couple of swims in the middle section of Lake 7, which, you know, is a good place to start.
Yeah.
We don't really know much about it, as we've said. But short rigs versus long rigs. So basically, whoever draws short rigs has to fish 5 inches and under. Whoever draws long rigs has to fish 10 inches and over. But also, as you can see, beautiful sunshine, we're going to allow 1 rod each on a zig. And the person fishing the short rigs has got to fish 5 foot and under for their zig. The person on the long rigs is 10 foot and over. I believe we've got 13 foot of water out there. So, you know, this sort of conditions, you think they might be in the upper layers.
I'm still trying to work out, yeah, it's going to be, as I say, for the first time, we've just literally both said to each other, as we've done this intro, because we do it like real time, we don't know what side of swims we want to be on, we don't know what tactics we want to use, however, we're just going to give it a go. So without further ado, it's time for the draw. The ever faithful rock, paper, scissors, closely followed by the stone draw. So,
are you ready?
Rock, paper, scissors. 1, 2, 3.
Shoot.
Oh,
rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Get in. So that's for...
So what are you using? Short or long?
I'm going to go short.
Right, so 5-inch rigs
and under, 5 foot zigs and under.
Right.
And as always, oh God, why do I seem to win and then never know what I want to do? So I always feel.
So I now need to pick a stone out of John's hand to see which swim we're going to go in. We've got swims 3 and 4. Currently stood in swim 3. 4's that way. I'm going to say that one. Oh, okay. So I get to choose the swim.
Which I'm glad because I didn't know which one at all.
I just need a fish to show now.
Well, that's a waste time.
I'm going to go in swim 4 that way, I think, because the wind is trickling that way. You've got slightly shallower water. That's it. Game on.
Let's go. Well, that is finally the rods out. A little bit of dodging in between. Unbelievably, some insane storms just missed us on the outside going over Ducklington. But if you look potentially behind me, you can see there is one coming. So we thought we'd do this bit very quickly to camera. And the reason for this bit is, why did I pick what I did? Now, most people would have been shouting at the screens, you can see the fish on the top, why didn't you go long? And the reason is I wanted to use these things, PVA bags. And one of the beautiful things with my PVA bags rigs is they're between 3 and 4 inches long, which means it sticks under the 5-inch rule. And to be honest, the reason I wanted to use them is new venue, don't know a lot about it. As I said, normally I'm pretty genned up on the places, but because it's new to me, PVA bags are a very, very fail-safe tactic. Now, I'm not going to go too much into depth on the bags, how I tie them, etc. That's something for tomorrow. But the reason I went for what I did was so that I can use those short hook links in PVA bags. I can cast them around if fish show. You know, this time of year, fish can show very sporadically in a few areas. Flick a bag out to them, you're fishing. Subsequently, I came second in the draw regards the swim and ended up in a deep swim where probably I'd have loved to use a 10-foot zig, but that is a story for tomorrow. But the reason that I selected what I did when I came out first was so I could use bags. I said we'll go through all the bits and pieces tomorrow, but they're a deadly tactic. And fingers crossed, now I found a nice little area out in front of me. Yes, it is quite deep, 14 foot, but a little bit of bait over the top of some PVA bags with the ability to skip a rod in and put a bag and send it long, send it left, send it right. Really, I think on a new venue is a devastating tactic. And as I get a single liner on that middle rod, we'll see how it goes. But very quickly, as I say, we're dancing in and out of the storms. But what we'll do now is very quickly hand over to Simon.
Right, so as we've seen, John won the tactical pick, so he's gone for the short rigs. So I have to use a longer rig, so I've got my 10-inch rig there. We're going to talk in more detail tomorrow. I'm just using a little PVA bag with it. But more importantly, I got to choose which swim we went in between 3 and 4. And I chose 4 mainly because Tar Farm's got really good lake contour maps for all the lakes on the complex here. And I saw my little bit of research before the session that was slightly shallower water over this side. And I think, you know, this time of year, you're always looking for the shallowest water you can get, really. It's about 11 foot out there, and I think John's got about 14. So whether or not that's made enough of a difference, time will tell. But I'm happier fishing in that shallower water. And also, there was a little bit of a wind trickling across this way, hopefully pulling the fish across over my area as well. So I'm happy at the moment, and hopefully the rest of the session will continue like that. My left-hand rod is absolutely one-toned out of nowhere, and we are playing the first carp from Tar Farm, which is quite exciting because I've never been here before. No idea what works on here, and it seems that what I've done has worked. So hopefully we can get this one in the net and get the session off to a good start. Right, he's getting ready for the net. Although he is putting up a hell of a fight. I think the fish are quite lively this time of year. You know, they're sort of got a bit of warmth in them now. We've had a few weeks of nice weather, and they're full of energy. Hopefully hungry as well. So yeah, you never know. Might be the start of a good session. Days off the mark. Right then, well, the first fish from Tar Farm, Lake 7, it's 13.5 pound, I think it was. So yeah, it felt big, but it definitely isn't that big. But it does mean I'm off the mark, and that's 10 points because it is the biggest fish so far. Well, I was just wrapping up that rod to get it back out after talking you through my initial thoughts, and the right-hander is absolutely ripped off now, so a really good start to the session. And I don't know if I've brought enough leads to deal with this if it carries on. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, another absolute ripper of a take. I think the fish are so fired up at the moment. They're just full of beans. Hopefully this one's going to behave, and we'll get to show you it in a minute. Nice. Yes, happy days. Number 2. That is a little bit bigger, I think, John, isn't it? What an absolute stunner. Fish number 2, and it's a little bit bigger. It was 18.5 pounds, so that is now 13 points for me, because this is the biggest one, 10 points, and then the other fish is 3 points. So yeah, what a start to the session, eh? I didn't really know what I was doing when I started. I just kind of went with what I thought, and it's paid off. The fish have moved in, and we've had a couple, so I need to get a bit more bait out now, get the rods all reset, and hopefully there's a few more to come tonight. Right, just on dark. We just had a lovely barbecue courtesy of Mr. John Flewin, thank you very much. And we've landed this one. Right hand rod went into meltdown, and the fish was still taking line when I picked the rod up. And it kited and kited and kited, and unfortunately he's managed to pick up John's rods, so we didn't get an awful lot of the fight, unfortunately. I brought in all his lines, so I feel pretty bad about that. But yeah, that's fish number 3, 17.4 I think I said it was. So yeah, nice. Need to sort out my rod now, get a bit more bait out. Obviously John needs to get his rods done, and then it will be dark. So yeah, if we don't see you again tonight, it'll be the morning. So let's see what comes along. Hopefully a few more of these.
Well, it's certainly taken my time to get one, but this cheeky little linear has got me off the mark, and unbelievably it was essentially a pub chuck rod. Obviously Simon was catching sort of 15, 16 wraps. Yes, he has got a little bit of shallow water, but I thought, you know what, I got 14 foot sort of for acres really, it feels. So I thought I'd just drum one this far out onto that sort of ledge, so I know it's in 14 foot, not in the deep water. And a couple of hours later, this one's ripped off. So it might be a blessing that Simon picked me up earlier. And although normally this would have been gently slipped back, it's getting held up. I'm buzzing. Slip this one back. Rod's already out. Let's see if I can get a few more points, catch him back up by morning.
The action for me continued, but I decided that after wiping John's lines out, it was probably best not to wake him up for small ones.
Right, middle of the night, and we've caught this absolutely stunning fully. It's not huge, probably mid-double again, but I don't think it's worth waking John up and filming it properly. But I'm just going to get it out, give it a quick weigh, and then slip it back and get the rod back out, because there's plenty of time for more. But that is fish number 5. Happy days. Not a bad start to the session.
Well, fish number 2 for me, and this one again on that 15 wrap rod, just sent out to the edge of the 14 foots. And what makes this one very interesting is it's over 20 pounds. 20 pounds, was it 8 or 10? 20 pounds and 10 ounces, which means all of a sudden it gets very, very interesting. So even though Si has just slipped that one back because it wasn't big, that now means he's on 5 fish for 3 points, so 15 points. And then my 2, this for 10 points, and one earlier for 3, equals 13. So all of a sudden it's 13, 15, and very, very interesting. Even though Simon has fished super well, I fluked a 20. So happy days, but a really, really cool scaly one on those old PVA bags, those little short regs, which we'll go through tomorrow. But yeah, absolutely buzzing. Right, slip this one back. Well, a very good morning, and it's not long after slipping back that 20 pounder, the sun has come up, and unbelievably, that right hand rod's on the way again. So once we do get this in, if we get it in, there will be a reshuffle of the rods. That's 3 takes now on that longer rod, all on the same depth, but just a little bit further out. And so whilst the rods with a bit of bait have been motionless. So I apologise for me doing the blinking a lot. I was deep back in slumber. The fish has tried to make us a reed line down to my left hand side, and it's made an absolute bid for freedom around this corner. So just steady, slow pressure. Hopefully bounce it out of the reeds. Here she comes, come on. It's easy sometimes to just panic in those situations, but if the fish can't get into the reeds, they'll have to come back out. So keep steady pressure, and normally they will come free. Oh, that will do. Good morning, good morning, good morning. .23 and a bit. Well, as you can see, the dorsal is raised, and a rather angry 23 pound 2 ounce mirror is the reward. These fish, I think we said it 2 or 3 times already, are fighting like fish possessed. Load of oxygen in the water. I think that little bit of storm, that little bit of rain absolutely buzzed them up. And as I said earlier, it's that random rod. And I said, I think I'm almost thankful now for Simon wiping me out, because in my head, even though I was tired yesterday, I knew I needed to go a little bit further, but I was going to probably sit on it till this morning. But fish number 3, that gives me 16 points. I think it actually now puts me into the lead, which is ridiculous, because when I went to bed last night, I got to be honest, I had a little word of myself. I was a little bit downtrodden. Simon fished an absolute storm yesterday, and I was left in the lurch. But a couple of 20s and a double have pushed me right in the lead, and that's the beautiful thing with Challenge Everything, is anything can happen all the way up to the lead. But I'm very conscious that if Simon catches a 20 bigger than this now, I'm in a whole world of trouble. So without further ado, I'm going to slip this one back, redo those 2 rods like I said, and then later on, both myself and Simon will talk through our rigs, baits and our tactics. Right, well, you catch me back at the wrapping sticks because essentially, unfortunately, I've just lost one. Are you ready? Oh, it's come off. And normally that would really agitate me. However, the benefit and the bonus of it is it's actually one of the new rods. So as I said, after that fish this morning, skip the rods back in, fresh bags on and put them back out at that 15 wraps. And as Simon and I have just said, it's incredible to think that on linear, just throwing out single bags at the height of spring into essentially an abyss of 14 foot of water, has produced now 5 bites. But unfortunately that one did fall off. So grab the rod back out, fresh bag, and back onto the spot.
I was starting to get a bit worried because, as you've seen, John's just had 2 20-pounders in a row, which put him in the lead. And even though I was on 5 fish, my points have gone back down to 15. But because of the nature of Challenge Everything, we've got that little twist where if you have the biggest fish, you get 10 points. And as you can see, this is a rather nice one, 23.5 pounds, which puts me back in the lead with 25 points. And John is now gone down to 9. But he only needs to catch the biggest fish after I've caught this one, and it'll put him on 19 and I'll go back down to 18. So it's still really close, 1 fish in it really. But I'm absolutely over the moon. Lovely fish. I really wanted to get a 20-pounder out of here, and we've done it. So I'm going to get this one back, and then we'll both talk you through the rigs and bait and the tactics that we're using. So my rig for this session, as you would have seen at the start, it's got to be a long one, 10 inches or above. So I have opted for 10 inches. I feel like it's unnecessary to go any longer than that, but I am sticking within the rules by using a 10-inch rig. And that is a very, very simple fluorocarbon D rig, knotless knotted, and then you put the tag end back through and blob it with a little hook ring swivel, just sliding on that D there. My hook bait is a mainline Cell 15mm bottom bait, topped with half a 10mm pop up there, just to give it a little bit of buoyancy really. So when the fish come in over the bait, they just slurp it up and it goes in the mouth nice and easy. So that is the rig, and then to that I'm attaching a little PVA mesh bag. So basically, little mesh bag, I've got a bit of boilie crumb in there and a few pellets, and I'm essentially just hooking it on through a bit of the mesh, twisting it round and hooking it through again just for a bit of extra strength and security when you're casting. Reason being that I'm using that is simply for kind of anti-tangle really, and also if I've got a bit of a miscast, I haven't quite landed on my baited area, it just gives me a little parcel of bait around the hook bait to ensure there's something there to sort of let the fish home in on it. And then my actual bait mix itself is basically boilie crumb with some pellets and some sweet corn, and that is about it. So about as simple as you can get really, and it's working. You know, I got here, had a little lead around, out in front of me as much of a muchness, it's all about 11 foot, so I just dragged the lead about, found a smoother area because there's a lot of gravel out there. I thought I'd like to fish on a bit of smoother silt really, and yeah, nice and easy, and it's been working. So hopefully there's a few more fish to come yet. So for your chance to win a Trakker end tackle bundle worth over £50, all you've got to do is subscribe to the Trakker channel and leave a comment down below with your suggestions for the next Challenge Everything. Right, well, the proof in the pudding, after talking about rigs, one of the rods has just screamed off and we are playing another carp. It's doing its very best to wipe John out again, so I'm gonna have to concentrate a little bit because he's definitely going to fall out with me if that happens again. So yeah, I'll get it hopefully in the net and we'll show you, and then see what happens later on, eh? Wow, look at that, it's an absolutely stunning fish. Most of the fish have been nice, but I think this is probably my favourite one so far. And at 22.5 pound, it's another nice result really. Not the biggest fish, but another 3 points to the tally. And like I say, my favourite fish of the session. So yeah, let's get that rod back out. Probably a little bit more bait before it gets too late, and see what we can get through the night.
So as Simon's just covered, obviously it's that little bait rig and tactic session. And from the very off, and really sort of before I arrived, when we decided what the challenge was going to be, bags was something I really wanted to push for. And that little short rig represents a really good, attractive rig in a bag. Now, my bag rig couldn't be simpler, and almost to the point of maybe being too simple, I don't know. But essentially what we got is some 35-pound raid braid, really supple, but enough stiffness that it does still allow the hook to move independently of it. A size 6 wide gate, which without doubt has become over the last 2 to 3 years my absolute go-to hook. A simple sort of long KD, if you like. I do 9 to 10 down, 2 under, and then just a single grain of fake corn. And the way that sits on the bottom is the hook will sit flat and that corn will almost just about waft out of the package of bait. And the idea with those bags obviously is that bright little visual piece surrounded by some super attractive flavoured up pellets, meaning that the fish home in on that, and in my opinion they suck the whole lot up. And as that all goes in, as you can see, that hook is in that prone position. It's dying to go in that bottom lip. At this end then, nice 3.5 ounce bag lead on one of our bag stems means I can tie loads of these up in advance and then simply loop the line through and attach them to the rods. Now, at the start of the session, when Simon was trouncing me, I was thinking, oh, I don't know if some bags are enough. But as we spoke about, moving them out onto that clearer area a little bit further out really has paid dividends. And what it proves is, although Simon is catching more and putting out bait, that a simple single bag in the right place will catch you fish as well. However, due to the fact that Simon is catching over a bit of bait as well, I have decided I am going to, after this little piece, just spread 6 or 7 spoms of boilies, pellets and a few bits of corn just in the line that I'm fishing, the general line that I'm fishing in, sort of to keep those fish rooting around in that area as it gets into that bite time later on today. But for me, a short rig that's got a lot of movement in it still, a single grain of really attractive sort of visual corn over that pellet I'm using, you know, it does simply work. So I'm going to keep drumming, banging the drum, see if I can catch up to Simon, see if I can catch something that are bigger again. But certainly this has proven to me why I love bag fishing so much. Yes, it can be fiddly, but for me, a rig that catches carp can cast very much anywhere as long as you're not in miles of depth of weed. But it's something that fish want, a single bite tactic that doesn't require bait, doesn't require super accuracy, but does catch them. So I'm going to tie up 3 more of these, deploy them over the area, a little bit more bait, and fingers crossed, before our chip shop tea arrives, there'll be another fish on the bank. Well, there we are. That's our rigs, our baits, and our tactics all done. 3 PVA bags out, and as I said earlier in my little rig chat, wanted to give them a little bit more bait. Obviously, those bags worked really well yesterday and into this morning, and as I said, I don't think 6 spoms of just pellet, corn, and a few boilies is going to detract from them. If anything, rather than detract, hopefully it'll attract. But as we head into the first full, proper evening of the rods being in and out, let's see what the rest of the day brings.
Well, look at that, we've just had a lovely fish and chips dinner courtesy of Mr. John Flewin, what a legend. And one of my rods has absolutely gone into meltdown again. These fish seem to be absolutely bionic at the moment. And yeah, biggest fish so far of the match, 27 pounds. So that puts me up to 31 points, I believe. It's been a hectic one really, to be fair, just trying to keep up with everything and keep tidy as well. And yeah, I'm just hoping that John can have a couple more and keep in the game really, because he's definitely going to be getting bites at night, I think, in that slightly deeper water. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 12 hours or so, and we'll keep you updated along the way.
Good morning, and you join us going into the final morning. And although it might seem that I am done, unfortunately I did lose another one last night, which when I look back at it, that's 2 losses, which means that, believe it or not, even though Simon on the scoreboard looks like he's absolutely romped away, if I'd have landed those 2, I'd have only actually needed 1 small one and the biggest fish, which is very, very still achievable. We've got a couple of hours left, and yeah, I am still fighting for it. But if nothing else does happen, still had a mega trip, to be fair. And the whole point of these things is, as we have said, is it's not necessarily me versus Simon, even though deep down we make it me versus Simon, or Simon versus me. It's been a mega trip. And more importantly, really, for me, who gets to fish a load of cool venues, this Tar Farm complex really has sort of stimulated a little bit of excitement. So I think me and Simon are already looking at maybe coming back and doing another one of these on one of the other lakes. But that is for another time. We are still very much in challenge everything mode here. So as I said, the rod that lost the fish, I didn't put it back out yesterday purely because I was fishing 3 quite close together. It was the middle rod. I didn't want to go smashing another PVA bag into the middle. But what I am going to do now for the last few hours is recast that rod and just see if I can nick 3 in the biggest fish would be really nice. But for now, it's a lovely sunny day. Gonna get the rod back out, and for now, hand over to Simon and see what he's got to say.
Right, last morning of the session, and as you've seen, it's been a great one so far. I'm on 8 fish now, including the biggest, so I'm feeling quite confident with that sort of buffer of points. But as John's just mentioned, you know, it only takes a couple of fish in these matches to swing it around. Because of that biggest fish rule, John could easily, you know, catch 3 fish now and wipe me out with very little time left. So it's all to play for still. I have had a quiet night last night, which is nice. Caught up on the sleep and everything. So I have refreshed the rods this morning, put a bit of extra bait out, redone the rigs and everything. Going to keep that effort going 100% right until the end.
Well, what a lovely way to end what has been a lovely session at Tar Farm at Linear. Absolutely stunning place that neither of us really knew anything about, really, did we?
Not really, no.
It was kind of a bit of a nice surprise when we arrived, and it's, you know, nice and tidy and plenty of space, plenty of water to yourself, and lovely fish. As you can see, we've got another one. This is number 9 for me, so in the challenge of long rigs versus short rigs. It does seem that the long rigs were a little bit
Oh mate, you've absolutely smashed it, and it's been an absolute pleasure. But as I said, as ever, with all of the challenge everythings, we really want your suggestions. So get in the comments below, fisheries that you want us to go to and challenges you want us to complete. But for now, long versus short, long wins, Simon wins, and thanks for watching.